And our latest TikTok apparently is about to get 1,000 hits. And I'm like, I don't think you could put all of my social media together and get 1,000 of anything. Welcome to Figuring It Out.
Episode 10!
This is, you're on history. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
We're making history. We never thought we'd get to 10 episodes, but here we are. Episode 10. So it's me, myself, and Linda, my co-host. And today we've got a special guest, Caroline Patterson, who's joining us.
Whoop, whoop.
And so we're so excited. It's spring break, so Caroline had time to come join us, and it's we've tried to schedule you like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And
I just have school all day.
Yeah, right.
So.
But episode 10 was it.
She was waiting to make history.
That was it.
She was waiting to make history. So, Caroline, we're going to get sort of to some specific Caroline questions soon, but
okay.
I think we need to update. So we've had several episodes of Figuring It Out where we've brought some. I don't know how entertaining they've been to everyone else, but to us,
we're having a great time.
We're here having a great time.
We tried not to pigeonhole ourselves, but here we are.
Well, here we are. We talk about the same things almost on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. And for the past few episodes, we've talked about some very specific things that have updates coming. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, Linda. You had a very special one.
I did.
This goes back to last week,
yes.
episode 9.
Yep. Our national treasure, Dolly
Parton.
Once again, just made it back into the hearts of Americans. Not that she's ever left, but Dolly turned down a nomination to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this week.
Now, why?
Because she does not consider herself a rock and roller. She said she did not want to split votes among those who deserved it. And she said, hopefully, she said, maybe she can be considered for this honor again if she puts out a rock and roll album, which she said her husband.
Wait. I don't know why you did air quotes.
Because there's maybe he's real, maybe he's not. He is, but said
there's at least a man in photos.
Yes, he loves rock and roll, and so maybe one day she will put out this album. But I also learned Dolly turned down what is it? The Presidential Medal of Freedom. Twice. Mm-hmm. She's turned it down twice.
Dolly just
imagine getting nominated twice for that.
Yeah,
imagine.
But
only Dolly Parton, people.
Yeah, and she was talking. They were showing some clips on the Today Show today about when they had interviewed her in the past, and she said, "I really want the focus to be on my charity work," and that it's just like, ugh.
But doesn't that give her a platform for her charity work? Though?
It does, but
you're just turning it down, ironically.
Yeah.
We're here talking about it.
This is what
probably
I feel
more
like.
so. I mean, maybe she's onto something.
Remember the episode we were talking about Louis Giglio and how he didn't do the inauguration? Kind of the same thing. Like if it shifts the focus too much off of what she's trying, her main focus, then it's not.
Dolly's charity work is her Jesus, is what I just heard.
Well,
Caleb, hold on.
Caleb,
I'm just kidding.
Caleb, you're about to step somewhere you don't want to be.
Because
they know
I believe Dolly knows the real Jesus. The real Dolly knows the real Jesus.
The Dolly Parton army will come for you.
Hold on, Caleb.
Caroline, do you have strong feelings on Dolly Parton? Because Linda does.
I don't really have strong. I like her. I don't know. I think she's cool.
She's absolutely cool. I don't love her music, right? I don't listen to Dolly, but everything around Dolly I love. Like this kind of stuff is why I like. I think she's a national treasure for sure.
Well, did you see
Nicolas
too long
Cage
ago?
is going to steal her one day.
They said,
there's a new movie about Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage. Like it's a movie about him being himself.
Wait.
I have not seen anything about
That's
this.
That's a total tangent, but
we'll come back to
saw that yesterday.
Look back on that one.
Yeah, we'll circle back.
Let me write a note. Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage on Nicolas Cage. But there was a meme not too long ago about Jolene. It was like, if there is a woman that is threatening to take Dolly Parton's man, we're all in trouble.
Ready.
We're all in trouble. But Dolly out there doing Dolly's thing.
And just turning down everything, She just wants to live life.
Just let her be.
And let the kids read.
Just let the kids read.
I I want to see the Metallica Dolly mashup to get her into the Rock of Fame or the Rock Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
or her and
isn't
Pearl
it,
Jam. Somebody.
Isn't
who's
it a
like,
normal thing for country music and people to be nominated for
Well,
the
that's
Rock?
what they were
Rock
talking
and Roll Hall of
about.
Fame?
A lot of the people in the
It's
Rock
not
and Roll Hall
absurd.
of Fame, Hall of Fame aren't necessarily rock like
Johnny Cash is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
I
he
could
is.
call
Sure.
him rock.
I had a Johnny Cash
He could
phase
be.
for a while.
Did you?
Yeah, he's in the rock.
Did you wear all black?
No.
I do love Johnny Cash. We could go down
Yeah.
that rabbit
That's a
hole,
whole
but
different thing. But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
he's
like
not
it-
a rocker.
It would not be
A rocker.
unheard of for her to be in the Rock and Roll. I mean, she's a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
I thought the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was pretty much like musicianship.
Yeah. But if she doesn't consider herself and doesn't want to take it away from those who do consider,
Dolly. Sometimes Dolly's just hard headed. That's what she
that
is.
may be it.
I think she's just that Southern hard headedness.
Now they're coming after you too.
Well, come on at me. Come on. All right.
Okay.
Dolly would probably admit that too. She'd probably say I'm hard headed. I bet you.
Oh, I
proud.
definitely think she would.
Let's ask her husband. Her husband.
Husband. Don't mock my air quotes.
So,
Anyway, next slide. We said
What-
Caleb, we're gonna get a buzzer and just do like 1 minute slices and have. We said just next.
So next
Go.
update though. Next update is Hank the Tank. Okay.
What?
Hank the Tank. Now, all right, Caroline, you know who Hank the Tank is?
No.
All right, Hank the Tank is this 500-pound bear who in California was breaking into over 20 homes, like somewhere between 20 and 30 homes, broke into stealthily, might add.
Stealthily.
Like he
Without
never,
damage.
Never was caught. I don't know that there was no damage, but no people were hurt. No people, no pets were hurt. But he kept eating people's garbage.
I
And-
thought you were going to stop eating people. Okay, sorry, continue.
No.
He was eating their pizza.
Eating people's garbage, and specifically, he loved pizza. That's what this is what everything was. All reports were saying he was breaking into homes looking for pizza.
Okay.
And so, all right, this big giant bear, this big giant ninja bear, at some point, they thought, okay, well, we've got evidence that might suggest that it's multiple bears. All right, it's not just one bear breaking in, but they couldn't prove that. And then Linda was like, here's an update. They think he might have been helped by raccoons and possums. Okay. And so then that spun off into a whole different conversation that led to Planet of the Apes type situations. All right. Okay. But yesterday I read an article that was an update on Hank the Tank has not been seen or heard from in well over a week now. So that leads to two conclusions. They think, all right, Hank has left the building. They think either Hank has found love and has followed a girl bear, a female bear. In real terms, it would be a sow.
That lucky
Followed this
girl.
little sow on into the wilderness to make little bears and love each other like a Disney movie. Okay. Either that happened or Hank is dead.
Oh.
There's no in between.
And listen,
Okay.
that cannot be true. Listen. I really need.
He could have just migrated or something. I don't know what bears do, but like.
Love or death.
He flew
Only
south for the
option.
winter.
Does.
That's really, isn't that all of our options too?
That's it for us. Love or death.
Okay.
I really need it to be true that there was a big fat bear that broke into home after home after home, never was caught, and then just rode off into the sunset with some beautiful girl bear.
Yes.
And I need that to be a happy ending. If they find Hank the Tank on the side of a road somewhere,
Why is it Hank the Tank? It's a bear.
because he was a big fat bear.
Oh.
It's a huge bear.
He's
size
a big
of a
old,
tank.
tank bear. So
Right.
Hank the Tank. How many times can we say tank today in this episode? All right,
I will
Hank the
sneak it
Tank.
in.
Yep.
Hank Frankenspank the Tank.
Stop while you're ahead.
We're 2 episodes deep now.
Yeah,
we're
we're
well
too
past
deep.
that point.
Listen, to go back into animal attacks though, Hank was a peaceful.
He was.
He was a peaceful soul. Okay, wherever he is,
He's a gentle bear.
he like Winnie the Pooh is what I imagine. Okay,
I love Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the
Yeah.
Pooh,
I
and
can't tell you how much Winnie the Pooh I watched.
because Winnie the Pooh. This is the real life story of Winnie the Pooh. If you think about it, okay, he's got animal friends that helped him get.
Maybe.
He wasn't after honey; he was after pizza.
But where's Christopher Robin?
Good question. I don't know.
good, yeah.
I mean, listen, not every metaphor goes exactly, but
Okay. Thanks.
he's got his animal friends. There's a Eeyore somewhere. There's a Kanga.
Maybe
a
that's
Tigger,
where he's
Take
at.
it.
He just went back to the 100-acre wood.
100-acre
Right.
wood. You know, there's probably a Christopher Robin out there pulling all the strings. Right?
Probably.
So, but on animal attacks though, Hank was a peaceful bear. There was a camel. All right. Do you know about the camel? You
I'm
know,
aware.
a camel escaped. Oh, because I put it.
You told me.
I told everybody. Listen, when there's an animal attack that happens, I have to tell people about it. All right, the uprising is happening. There was a camel from a petting zoo, broke loose, killed 2 people. A petting zoo camel. Like
They're supposed to be the nice ones.
supposed to be the ones that are the most docile, sweet, loving.
Had enough
kind.
of this.
Had enough.
This camel went just crazy.
Did they just get trampled, or did he like?
I don't know of another way a camel could kill you. Let's think of all the
Drowned
ways.
in spit,
Do they weaponize?
tossed in the air.
You know, okay.
Just completely mauled by a camel.
I think it's technically their fault because they probably just stood there and then they got trampled.
They just stood there and took it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what an enraged camel looks like, but that's a sad story, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about a camel that broke loose from a petting zoo. I've always been skeptical of petting zoos myself. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, do you love a petting zoo, Caroline? Do you like petting animals?
I do. Well, when I was younger, my parents took me to like the petting, because we used to live in Tennessee, and there was like this petting zoo, and I got to pet goats. But then one of the goats bit me, and so it wasn't very good time.
Case in point.
Let me tell you
Other
about
than
some
that,
goats.
it was fine.
We were at the zoo. Me and the boys were at the zoo. And
Not the petting zoo, the real zoo.
Well, we were at the zoo in Indianapolis, which they have an area
Yeah.
that you can pet goats. And these goats did not play around. Like, they were miniature goats, but they didn't know that. And so you walk in, and they're immediate, like, one's pulling on my shirt. I turn around, and one's eye level because it's standing on something. And I was like, we got to get out of here. Like,
We
I
gotta
scooped
go.
the boy. Like, I've got a boy under each arm. I was like, we got to go.
Hey, listen, and animals, like, all right, I've been in the situation where, like, there's a little kid that just can't get away from the animals. The animals think they have some food or something, and the
Yeah.
animals are just, like, covering them. You just got to scoop them and go at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I will say this. I've not had any bad encounters with goats. All the goat encounters I've had have been nice. We've
Well,
talked
that's-
about my grandfather's farm. He
Yeah.
had plenty of goats. They were funny, you know. They'd headbutt things. But horses, especially mini horses, they can be mean for sure. They'll bite. Goodness, they'll bite.
But not Little Sebastian.
Little Sebastian's an angel.
He is.
You don't put him in the same category with these mean animals.
Just to clarify, I need that to go out. Our official stance on.
Our official stance on Little Sebastian is we are pro Little Sebastian. So, all right. So those are our 2 updates from recent things.
Yeah.
We have a little update on Elon Musk, who is a regular of the show. We talk about Elon Musk regularly here, mostly in positive ways. This one, I'm not so sure how it's going to work out for him.
If it happens, I think he's bit off a little bit more than he can chew.
Elon Musk has he's put out a Twitter challenge to Vladimir Putin. One-on-one combat, winner gets Ukraine.
No.
So
All
if you
right.
think about either way, Ukraine is under new leadership.
First of all,
However-
I'm like, okay, is Ukraine okay with this?
Yeah.
Because I feel like no.
What's your boy Zelensky?
We got to peel this back a little because, like, who is Elon to give away Ukraine? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
the whole thing.
question number 1. Question number 1 is, why does Elon Musk have the authority to give away or take Ukraine for himself?
I mean, in all reality, he could probably just buy it, but
Yeah.
oh yeah. Well, at this point, they'd sell it to him.
yeah.
You can have this.
There's
sir.
not a lot there for right now, but I think he would have to. I think it would have to be like a tournament situation where the winner of Elon versus Vladimir has to fight President Zelensky, and you don't want none of that smoke. President Zelensky, he's How many assassination attempts has he foiled at this
The
point?
last I saw it was 3, and that was within 1 week.
Right.
Oh.
So they quit keeping tally probably at this point.
He's a survivor.
Reva will sing the soundtrack to his movie.
So, okay.
But yeah.
Point number 1. Why does Elon Musk get to say what goes for Ukraine? Just because he's giving them free internet? Is that why?
That I own you now.
Yeah, right. I can
read those terms of service, people. You don't read those things that get your country. You know?
Which, let's think about it. If something shut down the internet in this country, we'd be looking for a leader as well.
Listen, a little bit of me wishes that the internet would go down in this country. I know that would ruin Caleb's world.
And we
don't
also
want that at
couldn't
all.
film the podcast.
Wait, we could film it. We
film
just
it.
couldn't
Yeah.
put it
Nobody
out
could see
anywhere.
it.
Yeah.
It'd be for us.
Nobody would. We'd sit around and just watch it ourselves. Feel good about ourselves.
We have nothing else to watch. There's no internet.
There's no internet. Yeah, Netflix starts sending discs again.
Oh
Oh
man.
my gosh.
Okay, anyway.
Okay,
Elon
all right. But then
does not
we
own
got to take
Ukraine.
a who would win poll here.
Oh
All
my.
right, you've got Vladimir Putin, who, regardless of what you think about it, he's Russian. Okay,
Yeah.
and those guys are a little bit different. Okay. I think I've seen where he does that polar bear challenge all the time, where they go dip in the, negative 40-degree water, and they do that for fun over there, and wrestle bears. There's video after video of Russians wrestling bears and stuff like that, just jacked up stuff. All right, I don't know what Vladimir Putin is into.
Maybe that's where Hank has gone.
Yeah.
Maybe he's fighting.
To Russia.
He went to go fight. He went to go fight for Ukraine. I want to believe that. But then you got Elon Musk, who spent his whole time, his whole life, has been inventing things, trying to get to space and trying to get to Mars. A little bit of a nerd.
Little bit.
I don't think the odds are in Elon Musk's favor, in my opinion.
I think he loses that one.
But then Linda brought up when we were talking. Listen, we were talking about this just earlier when we were kind of getting our brain ready for this. Caroline, you're gonna love this. Linda,
Okay.
talk about your theory.
There's this gentleman I like to call Iron Man. That
You're telling me Elon Musk doesn't have an Iron Man suit somewhere stowed away in his closet somewhere?
Okay, now that's different. If you're talking bare knuckle boxing type fighting, Elon's going down.
He is
If you
calculated
use-
enough that if he's put this out, I believe he's ready. And they did take away Vladimir Putin's black belt. So
he's a green belt now. He just forgot how to do black
he
belt
can't
now.
use
He
that
just forgot.
anymore.
This is how they do it in Russia.
He can't do that anymore.
So okay.
But no, in all seriousness, I don't think hand to hand bare knuckle combat, Elon's going to come out the winner of that.
I don't think so either. Caroline, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't really keep up with this kind of stuff. I don't know.
Linda?
I think it's going to be Putin.
Not looking good for Ukraine. Caleb, who you got?
Well, if it's just bare
Musk
fighting.
versus Putin. Musk.
Mr. Zelensky thanked Mr. Musk for the support, tweeting, "I'm grateful to him for supporting Ukraine with words and deeds." So apparently he's of the opinion that he's going to give Ukraine back. Not just keep it, which changes things for me. So.
Well, here's the deal. He's already done more for Ukraine than your standard person can do.
If you could write down Musk versus Putin, I've got a T-shirt idea. I want to circle back to this after the episode.
That might be the title of this episode.
Musk versus. That's the title of our ministry, Joseph. What are you talking about?
That's the middle school boys ministry right there.
I get it. That took me a minute. I get it.
That's where I was going with this. Okay.
Is there anything else we want to quick hit before we move along here?
No, I think that.
There are things going on in the world, but these are the things that matter to us, apparently.
I do like in words and deeds.
In words and deeds. Caroline, listen, we are so thankful you are here
We
on
are.
Figuring It Out. We want to hear a little bit from you and about your story, and really you're sitting where we want this podcast to go. This is the whole goal for this podcast, is to give students like you a platform to talk about their faith, to talk about how you're figuring out living your faith out in just kind of a messed up world. And so I always like to start off with every person that comes on, just kind of at the beginning. Like, how did you? So, talk about your faith for a second. Like, how did you meet Jesus, and what did that look like? How old were you, and the terms kind of surrounding that, like circumstances.
So my parents are religious and they're Christians, so I guess I grew up with Christ. And I went to private school for the first like pre-K through, and then third grade, and then fourth grade and everything.
Now this was in Tennessee?
Yeah, this was in Tennessee.
Okay.
So I went
What
to
school?
What?
Caleb's from Tennessee.
I went to private school in Tennessee. What school did you go to?
Grace Christian Academy.
Grace Christian. Where's that at?
It's in Knoxville.
Knoxville. I definitely know the school. That's not where my aunt and uncle teach, but they know people there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, sorry. You keep
No,
going.
you're good.
He went to a bougie school, Caroline. Don't
Wait,
even-
where did you
I
go?
went to the web school. Not in Knoxville, but
yeah.
in Bell Buckle, the other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
the real bougie one.
Real bougie one.
Yeah, but I don't know. I knew Christ like when I was little, but like I didn't like know it. Like I grew up in it, so I was like, oh, this is all I know. But when you're a little kid, you're kind of just taught like the basics and like,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus loves you. But then like when you grow up, you kind of like learn it for yourself
Right.
in a way. I don't know how to explain it.
I could sort of call it like owning your faith. Like
Yeah.
at some point you have to own it for yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when it really clicked for me was in high school, I guess, like
Okay.
ninth grade, because I went through a period of my time. Jeez, that's like prehistoric times. Anyways, a period of my life where I like kind of like strayed away because I was going through a lot, like between having trouble in middle school, getting bullied, and like mental health and like family issues, but yeah, I don't really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we all come to that spot where like, you know, and for some people it's like different tiers of figuring out your faith. It's like, yeah, you probably at a young age understand sin and how Jesus saves us by his death and resurrection, but like when you're trying to figure out how to live it out, there's always this like next level of realization of like, oh man, I have still been like kind of leaning on like my family's faith or the culture that I'm in or whatever, and then all of a sudden you have to step out and you have to actually act in faith on your own, and it's an eye-opening thing.
Yeah, especially when you can like drive now. Since most of the time, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to go to church. It's too early because I'll come back from like band competitions or like late night stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go, but I drive my.
Is that how you say it?
No, but I don't know. I think that now that I can drive and I can drive myself to like different places, I don't know how to explain it. I have this idea in my head, but I can't get it out there. I don't know what I was going to talk about.
Well, you interrupt anytime you want to.
Yeah, okay.
It's more of a conscious decision.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a conscious decision because I also drive my siblings, so like my brothers, to church as well. So I don't know.
So, yeah, you've got two brothers.
3 brothers.
Three.
Three brothers. I'm sorry. Three brothers. And 2 sisters.
Yeah.
And
You're the
how
oldest.
many animals?
We have none.
Animals?
We used to have a cat, but it got really sick and died when I was younger.
Have you met
So-
the brothers?
Yes.
Enough.
That's enough. I was like, where are we going with this? Oh, Animal House. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
All right. I was like, yeah, of course. All right. So
They're in our youth group.
you've been in youth pretty much the whole time I've been here. So like, let's see, when I got here, you would have probably been in like 8th grade.
Yeah.
What has been sort of your favorite time or moment or memory as a student? So, because you're a senior now,
Yeah.
you're about to step in like next part of life. In student ministry, you wave bye-bye, except when I call you up and want to get you to help with D now or something like that. So what's been sort of like something that stands out as like, man, that's one of my favorite memories as you look back?
That's hard. I don't know. I guess kind of growing. I mean, because I've been with the same group of people that I'm in with my Sunday school now, and like each year, you know, we're like, oh, there's boys, and we didn't really like each other because it's like the dynamic between like girls and guys in 7th grade, and it's like, ew, they're gross.
Yeah.
But like as we've kind of grown up, we're all like, oh yeah, we've been with each other since like so many years, and it's really cool to see how we've all like grown into our each individual persons, and how like each year kind of people like dwindled off, I guess, in a way, which that's sad, but
which there are some days where it seems like everybody's back, you know, and you're like, whoa, you know.
Yeah. So, and like now that we're senior, like it's our senior year and we're in 12th grade, it's like, oh, we're leaving next year. Like it's kind of sad. So I guess like this year I'm making new memories with like the people that I've been closest with for like a couple years now.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to different colleges, and some of us are going to the military, and some of us are moving away. And it's sad.
Yeah, it can be. And, you know, you just soak it up while you're here, you know, while you're still in it. I always try to remind, you know, especially like seniors, I'm like, don't let it go by without like just really staying in the moment in a lot of ways, because everybody's asking you about future. Everybody's telling you, look to the future, and everybody's like, what are you going to do? And, you know, don't get so caught up in the next year or 5 years of your life that you forget about this, you know? So what are you like? So what are you most passionate about? Like what you've got tens of listeners. Like what would be something you want to bring to the table to talk about, of like what's something that just really fires you up that you love to talk about and want to like teach people about?
Mental health.
Well, let's talk about it.
Okay.
So you did say this just a minute ago, like in middle school you dealt with some stuff.
Yeah. Are you sorry?
No.
Yeah. You can. Are you asking me to talk about my men? Like,
no, I'm not saying spill your guts. I'm saying like, okay, let's talk about. All right, so how do you? When you say mental health, there's a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about faith and mental health and how you deal with things and how you've seen other people. What would you remind someone, like, because at the end of this thing, what we want to do is help students that are listening, that are dealing with stuff, like help them figure out how to deal with mental health issues, or whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's, you know, whatever, addictive personalities or whatever. You know, how do you stay faithful through all that? How does your faith play into all that? Like, what have you found to be true, and what's been? I mean, you don't have to give all the details of your life, but like, just talk about what are some details of that are important to you that you want to like talk to. If you were talking to me about it, and I'm struggling with it, what would you want to say?
Okay, just like right off the bat, like a reminder, it's okay not to be okay. Because when I was struggling with it, a lot of people told me like, oh, just, you know, be happy, like, and everything. And I never really got the chance, at least in middle school and kind of beginning of high school, to like feel the emotions I was feeling. So I kind of just bottled it up. And it's one of the really kind of crappy coping mechanisms that I have now, where I tend to bottle up all my emotions.
Sure.
But I think that with faith as well, it's like you can tell God and Jesus all the emotions that you are feeling, and it's okay to have emotions that are a little bit like uncomfortable and like scary, I guess, in a way. And I don't know, I think it's cool, like a different perspective from like what I have against like other people, like non-believers or whatever, is that yes, I can go to a therapist, and therapy is great, just putting that out there. Therapy is great, but I can also have another resource where like Jesus loves me no matter what I do and no matter what happens or no matter what I'm feeling, and I can share all like the scary and like kind of like deep dark emotions that I'm feeling when I go through mental health and like the struggles, and that he's still gonna love me no matter what. Because when I was younger and when I was in middle school, I thought that because I struggled with mental health that I was like non-lovable in a way, and I was like, no one could possibly love me because I struggle with this. And like, not from the church at least, but a lot of people told me that because I had mental health issues, God just didn't love me, and I needed to pray more, and just if I prayed more, then Jesus would start loving me again. And that's not true at all. And I don't know how to explain how people can say that stuff to other people, but
I think you're hitting something really important too, though. Like, I know a lot of Christians struggle with the idea of mental health issues, whether it be just the whole spectrum of different things that it can be and how it kind of manifests, right? You know, it's like you're saying, like, just pray it away, or, you know, bottle it up or whatever, and it'll all go away or whatever like that. And I think Christians have a hard time a lot of times dealing with, especially something like depression or something like that. It's like, how can you be so depressed when there's so much to be hopeful for and all that kind of stuff? And there's a real misunderstanding, I think, of like how this affects a person.
Yeah, and there's also like a real big stigma. I mean, there's a big stigma around mental health just in general, but there's also a super big stigma around like church and like Christians with mental health, because at least when I first started struggling with it, I mean, I had anxiety when I was a little kid and everything, but I didn't like quite understand what it was. I just thought this was like a normal person like experience, because I mean, I remember when I was a little kid that I was like scared to like do anything, or like really nervous when I had to like go and like order by myself, and it sounds like really stupid, but there's that stigma. But like when at least what was hard for me, I'm sorry, I'm trying to like formulate my
No,
thoughts.
we're good. We got all day, don't we, Caleb?
But no one that I knew was struggling with it as well. So as well as like, it's okay not to be okay. You're not alone. And even if you're not like a believer, or you're like not religious or anything, that you have friends that care about you, and your family cares about you, and that there are other people who are struggling with it. It may be like a different like aspect or a different like scenario, a different way that they're experiencing it, but everybody in their each individual way struggles with mental health. And I think that's a fact that not a lot of people know, like, but I feel like at least some point in everybody's life they've struggled with mental health. It may not be like a long lasting condition like some other people have, but like people have struggled with it, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I you know, there's also there's so many things we can like tap into and like unravel here, but you know, Linda's a medical person. You know, there are some people that honestly their brain chemistry changes, and it really like, you know, there are people that deal with it in such a way that it's like they need some coping mechanisms. Like it's not necessarily a chemical thing in the brain, but it's like, you know, you need some grounding methods, or, you know, whatever that might look like. And then there's some people that really need like medication and like for real. And you can tell the obvious difference. Like, and there's some people that probably don't need medication that get medication and it makes them unhealthy, like, or more unhealthy than they were. And, you know, that's a whole different conversation, I think. But do you think, all right, so there are, here's what the question I always ask is like when I'm thinking through like people dealing with different mental health issues, like I'm really interested in how many diagnoses of depression or anxiety or whatever are they're diagnosed as a medical condition, but what they really are a spiritual condition, and vice versa. How many people just pass it off as like, oh, you know, there's a spiritual condition, you need to just get right with Jesus, and how much of it is like an actual medical situation happening. And like I think there's on both sides a lot of misdiagnosis. You feel that way?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think, you know, and unfortunately, I think there's some people that really do that really do get like really tormented spiritually. And somebody just throws medicine at it. And then there's some people that really need some medication, and somebody dumb like a pastor, you know, we're like, you know, we're just going to continue to counsel you and talk about the Bible and, you know, push, you know, deeper and deeper faith, when it's really, you really just need a little help, you know, medically speaking. So it's been a difficult thing as a pastor to sort of navigate, like when I talk to people, because you know, people come to me about this kind of thing a lot, and I'm trying to make a judgment call on, well, okay, how do I approach this? Do I send you to someone that's more in the medical field, or do I counsel with you on a spiritual level? And, sometimes it's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's either or, and it's a really difficult thing to navigate. Let's see. What are some of the ways that you have found helpful to cope with, high stress or anxiety or what? I'm not going to ask you to kind of dump on like all your triggers or anything like that, but like, what are some things that you've found that are very helpful to sort of center you? You've already said like, you feel like you can always come to Jesus with all of it, and you sort of feel a lot better about how he accepts you and embraces you, and that's all super true. So, beyond that, like, what are some real helpful practical things?
Yeah, so I didn't figure this out on my own. I actually had to go to therapy.
Yeah.
But my therapist, her name's Daryl. Shout out to Daryl. Anyways, she's helped me find coping mechanisms, as you said. So I like coloring, and it's kind of difficult when I'm having when my hands get like really shaky and everything, because it's kind of hard to like hold a color pencil or something. But I also just do like calming activities. Like I drink tea, like peppermint tea, like non-caffeinated tea. So I've actually cut out all caffeine in my diet because I'm not to jump all my triggers out there, but it triggers my anxiety and everything, and kind of like makes everything worse. And and like when I have like some like, I guess like panic attacks or anxiety attacks, I have to like fidget with things. So I'm now learning how to crochet so I can like do something and I also listen to calming music. Most of the time I don't really, I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of like know when I'm about to have like, because I sort of kind of have like anxiety all day, and it kind of reaches like a peak and then it like goes back down, kind of like a roller coaster kind of vibe. And I know personally when it's about to get bad, so I listen to like calming music, or like stop driving, or like do something calming to help. Also, if you're like in the moment and you're having problems, peppermints help, but like wintergreen mints, because it's very strong and you can do like 5 senses activities. So like sometimes I'll like crinkle paper and it's super annoying, but it helps me like with sensory issues and like grounding myself because I can hear it. And like also like
you're talking about like the what are 5 things you can see? And
yeah, sort of, kind of, yeah, like that,
yeah, that kind of
but
thing.
I just use mints because it's very strong and I can like suck on it, and like I can. I don't know how to explain it, but my brain just kind of is like, oh, okay, it's gonna be okay. But yeah, that's what I use. But I don't know. But I always keep like mints wherever I go. Like actually in my wallet, I have one in there. So if like other people need them or if I need them, so I don't know.
I do that too, but usually it's because I have bad breath.
Oh,
I know that's right.
Caleb, you about to turn that camera off. There's gonna be a fight up in here. So let me ask you this, Caroline, from your point of view. So every stat that I read, everything that I know, and I read a lot. Your generation is suffering from mental health disorders and problems more so than my generation and every generation before. I know what statistics say, but just from your heart and your mind, like from conversations you have with friends and people that you know that deal with some serious issues, what can you pinpoint as like why so many people your age are like going through so much of this?
I would say social media. I feel like social media as a whole affects teenagers and like people my age, because like especially with girls, we constantly see like this image of like how our bodies are supposed to be and how our personalities are supposed to be and like how we look like, and then we start comparing ourselves to people, and then we start struggling with like, oh, I don't look like this, so I need to like change. And so I feel like that as well is why people struggle with some people struggle with like eating disorders as well. And then like just the anxiety that surrounds like, oh, I don't look like that person, so I have to like make myself look like them, which in any case is that like God made us all different and we all look different, and we're never gonna look exactly like this one person like that's popular on social media. And I also feel like I don't know how to explain it, but also like we just went through a pandemic 2 years ago, and now 2 major European countries are in war, and we're having to like watch it all behind like the news or whatever, and that's also affecting us as well.
So you feel like there's just like
there's so
a
much
bombardment of information?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the statistics you read. Like that's what you hear is like we didn't have internet back in the day. You know, like when you know we had and the internet was so slow you didn't even just care. You couldn't just buzz through all kind of different things and whatever. But it's like we weren't nearly as bombarded with information for sure. It's like you probably sat with your parents and watched the news at like 9, and that was like just once a day for 1 hour, and there was definitely nothing like social media, you know. So I don't know, maybe it was just like my generation and before, like we just got lucky in not having to deal with that. But eating disorders and stuff like that, you mentioned that, like that was for sure a thing.
Yeah, that's always been a thing.
Yeah. Even mental health issues, like it may not have been like talked about as much in your generation or like generations before, but it was definitely there.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. And it's probably because of the interlinking, like the networking of social media and just the way you guys are so connected that you just hear about it way more, you know, just because everybody's talking about it. Like, I'll say this, there's never been before a push like current for like body positivity and all that kind of stuff is like, you know, trying to call out some of the negative influence of culture and trying to kind of right the ship a little bit because they see the harm that it's been doing. It's like,
yeah,
you know, just what you were saying, like media has always used these, what would you call it, Linda? It's like, you know, models don't represent the real person.
Correct.
It's like an exaggerated
Yeah.
version of beauty. In my opinion, Caleb's opinion too, it's so exaggerated that it's not beauty. It's not beautiful to me. I don't know. Am I the only one with this opinion?
No, I've said all along, like, not all along to you guys, but like you see people doing the beauty procedures and plastic surgery. Glute plumping and lip pumping and all the things. And it's like, then they start looking weird.
Yeah.
Like,
but like in the 90s, let's say the 90s when we grew up, it was like, no, you don't want shapely. You want
stickly.
Skinny. Yeah. Like super skinny. And it was like so much, it was an exaggerated skinny at that point. And then it was weird. And then it was like they go the other way. And then it's weird. So it's like Caroline's generation is like, let's figure it out. Where
what do we do with this?
There's like a common ground here somewhere. Like, let's just, you know, what you look like is not nearly as important as
what
who you
look
are.
like is what you look like. And there's more.
Yeah.
There's more to the person.
If you're healthy, that should be the main thing, right?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this.
Yes.
With social media and this, like the more emphasis on mental health, do you think it's more in vogue now to like, oh, well, I have anxiety. I can't. Like, do you think people use it more as a crutch now? Or, I mean, not saying that mental health doesn't inhibit things, but like, do you think people maybe use it more as an excuse when it's not actually an issue?
Like are you asking like something might be a minor discomfort?
Yeah. Like if I just didn't want to come to work this morning and I call you and I was like, oh, it's just I'm taking a mental health day.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I think that's a valid question. It's like, where's the line? You know what I mean?
Where is because like sometimes mental health days are needed. Like when you're like after D now. It's like, I need a mental health day. But if it's just like as an excuse.
Do you see that? Like, not we're not pointing fingers.
Yeah.
But like, do you see that in your friends? Like some of them just jump on the bandwagon of like, my friend Caroline or all of this group of friends, like, they're in counseling. They love counseling. They talk about how awesome counseling is. Maybe I should do it too. I'm not saying they shouldn't do counseling. I'm just saying, like, where's the line between, do you think too many people are using that as an excuse of like,
I mean, I don't think I think people should go to counseling even if they don't have like mental health problems.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a, I don't know. I'm kind of like half and half. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just kicked your leg anyways.
No, you're good.
I think there's,
Shut up, Linda.
I think there's some people who, especially when people self-diagnose themselves, I feel like
Yes, that's what we kind of
yeah,
meant.
a self-diagnosis.
when people self-diaggnose themselves, it's frustrating, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Because you may think, I mean, not you may think, like you may think you have like anxiety and everything, but like until you're like properly diagnosed by a doctor, you don't really know. And it's kind of,
We can agree with that.
Yes. Well, and like the people with your emotional support hamster on the airplane,
I saw a peacock on a video. The other
an
day.
emotional support peacock. No
Yes.
one has a peacock.
On an airplane. Caleb, do
Who
you know what
brings
a
a peacock on an airplane?
Peacocks don't support anything
They're like an
except
emu.
anger.
They're like an emu. Emu cannot be a support animal.
Well, like I knew someone that she had a dog, but you go online and you get this form, and now he's an emotional support dog. So she doesn't have to pay for him to live in the apartment.
Don't get me started on animal attacks from emotional support animals.
Well, and that's the thing. That's not
Uncovered another animal thing for Joseph. Here we go.
It's like trained support animals do not behave like that. But just like she didn't want to pay pet rent. So now he's an emotional support dog.
Oh,
Yeah,
see, that's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm talking
though.
about. Like,
yeah, that makes me uncomfortable because people who do that, they're just like using mental health as an excuse and they don't struggle with it. And like,
this
It's
is
like
what I'm
it's
saying.
like people can play the system and just call it like
I don't know. It's frustrating because then when you see this happening, because this happens at my school all the time, you like see people are like, oh, I struggle with anxiety. And then they like do all this like stuff.
Yes.
Or like this, like a bunch of stuff. And then it's like, but that's not what it is.
it doesn't commute. Yeah.
And then like teachers think that this is what anxiety is and this is all the box that it ticks. And then you're like, oh, but this isn't how it is. And then they don't treat you the same as this other person does.
Okay.
Because you don't follow the same like profile
Yeah.
as they do when they haven't been properly diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's frustrating when other people like, I don't want to say fake it, but like,
I would say a fake it.
fake it. And they haven't been diagnosed by a real doctor, and then you're just kind of sitting there like, well, I don't want to like tell them now because I don't want to like be like that. But I don't know. It's really frustrating. I don't know. There's so much, but it's really frustrating when people do that. I definitely do not like that. I
And
do
there's a
not agree.
definite tendency to like look at it, and even if you struggle with it, look at it in an unhealthy way to where you're a victim of your circumstances, where the goal is for any counselor or any pastor that's helping you deal with things is like you don't want to be a victim of it. You want to have victory over it. Like you want to be able to overcome, or at the very least manage it in a healthy way. You know what I mean? Like, and there's some that I feel like just turn inward and victimize themselves, and like it's almost crippling in that way.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of agree, but at the same time, like, I feel like when people are first diagnosed, they're like, oh, no. And then we kind of, I guess, as, like, people with, like, struggling mental health, and when they first diagnosed, we're like, oh, no, how could this happen to me? And I guess we sort of kind of have that victim mentality, I guess, but I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to, like, put it black or white.
No, I know. I think it's a spectrum. It's
Yeah.
like, I just know when I say victim mentality, it's like more like a look at how bad I have it, and you want sort of attention for being crippled by it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I can't even leave my house. Like,
It reminds me of the Benchwarmers. You've seen that movie? The guy who's scared of the sun?
I don't think so.
Anyway, the Benchwarmers. Funny movie, pretty clean. There's a guy in it who's scared of the sun, but they want him to play baseball for their baseball team because they need an extra player. But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's look at me and how bad I have it. And it's it's sort of the thing that should be a trigger for your anxiety is like putting a spotlight on it, but it's like they like that spotlight because it makes people like kind of, oh, poor pitiful you. I don't know. I want if we're going to put attention on it, I want it to be because you want to improve what's going on. Does that make sense? I might have said that weird. I don't know if that made sense.
A little bit, but
that's I don't know.
So if you have a physical ailment, like if I fall and break my leg, for a little bit, I'm going to be like, I broke my leg. Yeah. But I think we have the desire to be well again. Right. Like I'm not just going to, this is my life now.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. You don't want to be an Andy.
Correct.
You don't want to be an Andy. All right. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Parks and Rec, he fell in the pit, broke both his legs, and like they finally cut his 2-leg casts off, and his legs are so weak, and they're like, why are his legs so weak? Well, he stayed in a cast an extra month, you know, and it was because he liked people like bringing him snacks and whatever. Like he couldn't do anything. It's like he loved being pampered so much that he played it up. I'm not saying that that's what happens in every case, but I'm saying there are cases where people like play the victim because they like what happens when they do that. You know, they get some positive reinforcement. It's like, they get the pat on the back and they get the, you know, here, buddy.
Well, it's kind of like with kids or with anyone, attention is attention.
Attention is attention.
Like negative or positive. And you'd rather have the positive. But like if we're going to talk about mental health, kind of like we talk about physical health, I think there is that like, okay, this is going on, let's deal with it. Maybe that's just, I know not everyone thinks the way I do, but like when I get sick, let's get better.
You're right. You know? Yeah. And you would think that's what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks, but mental health looks different versus like having the flu or having something like that.
Well, and those are you know ahead of time that's only a temporary thing.
Yeah.
And some of this that we're talking about, like, you know, you could have anxiety for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it's just
you got to manage it.
Yeah,
you know, it's more like having a
chronic illness,
asthma or whatever. You know,
you just manage. Yeah, like I have asthma, like, and I just know the triggers and the things that I deal with it.
Caleb deals with male pattern baldness.
That's true.
Always have, always will.
We will get him a baldness peacock to carry.
Baldness peacock.
My emotional baldness peacock. He has many feathers, so I don't have to.
So you don't have to.
Oh man. Yeah. So
I mean, and it's not to say that we're insensitive against mental health issues.
No, definitely not.
Like at all.
No,
but
I
do think, yeah, it can be exaggerated as an attention grab.
It's a conversation worth having.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I definitely don't think it's like black and white.
No, not at all.
And you probably run into it all the time at school. You know?
Yeah.
Just different versions of this in lots of different ways.
But like you said, if somebody presents themselves as this is what anxiety looks like, this is what depression looks like, and it's not, and granted, it doesn't follow a linear path.
Yeah.
But when people encounter that, and then you're talking to someone about anxiety, and they're like, well, my only encounter with anxiety has been what this person presented it as.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it can create a stigma, and it's like, no, like
it's kind of harmful for like the people who actually struggle with it. So
yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
When I said it all weird.
Yeah.
I'm just like, for the people that really struggle, the oh, poor, look at me, victimizer, like victims, like, you know, they may or may not really be struggling with it, but like they suck all the attention from the ones that may actually need the attention for it. Yeah. Just that's my 2 cents on that.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right. Yeah. And not everybody who really suffers from it is a squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love the metaphors today. We're on a roll with these metaphors.
On a roll like a squeaky wheel.
Like a squeaky wheel.
But like if the only encounter I knew of someone with anxiety has an emotional sport peacock, I'm going to be like, wow.
Most people that I know, Caroline, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Okay.
I will.
Most people that I have encountered that really deal with depression, anxiety, anything like that, they would much rather curl up in a corner and be away from everybody than like tell everybody about their issue.
Yeah, that's the same with me. Yeah.
Well, that's why postpartum depression is so underreported.
There's that.
Is because people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you have a brand new, what do you have to be sad about? It's
Yeah.
like, well, I haven't slept in weeks and my hormones are all over the place
Right.
and my brain's not functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for someone who's like kind of struggling but doesn't know where to even start?
Definitely reach out to like trusted friends, because when I first told, at least because I say trusted friends, it's because at least from my parents' point of view, they didn't really get it, and so I got a lot of pushback from that because they were like, "No, you're all fine. It's fine. You have a good life. Like you have a roof over your head."
Again, generational differences here.
And everything. So like, if you have a trusted friend that maybe goes through the same things or like has struggled with mental health in the past, maybe reach out to them and see like if you can talk about it. But like definitely make sure with them if you're like if they are comfortable talking about it, because some people it like triggers them, but whatever. So yeah. But I mean, if you feel comfortable talking to your parents about it, then totally go ahead, talk to your parents about it. But
Yeah, I think that's a good starting place for anybody. But, you know, if it's a struggle, even, you know, like if it's a struggle for your parents, I'm thinking about my own parents. Like if I would have been a teenager, like they would have had no clue what I'm talking about. Like absolutely not, probably, because that was just not in their world.
yeah.
You know, again, a lot of people, especially in like different generations, they view this differently, because the struggles that each generation has are a little bit different. Your generation is struggling with this a lot more, and I think we've kind of pinpointed some of the problems is like media and the bombardment of information, all this kind of stuff. But I forgot where I was going with that. Forgot totally. Just brain farted here.
Talking to your parents.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, don't be afraid to start there, but it may not be like, oh, if you hit a wall there, stop and just be like, deal with it on your own. Continue to search for that help.
Yeah, I definitely hit a wall and stopped, but don't do that. I would not suggest.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So as far as like, Caroline, as far as like your faith and stuff like that, it's stayed. Actually, I've seen like more growth in you over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Than probably the past 5 years.
Oh yeah.
So what would be sort of, as far as faith goes, you're a senior. Talk to our underclassmen for a second. Like in middle school and high school, like they're figuring out how to be faithful and how to be Christians. Give us some advice. How have you been able to not only be a Christian, but like grow over the past couple of years?
Definitely like coming to sense with my identity. I know that sounds like weird because whatever, but like it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
And in high school and middle school, you're gonna come up. You're gonna like there are different people that have different experience from you, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
People who come from different backgrounds and people who like struggle with different things, that's not like, oh no, scary, get away. But it's like, if you like have real conversations with them, you can like learn new things about what they've been through and stuff like that. And definitely with like, when I was in middle school, I didn't know anything about like LGBTQ like plus and all that. I was like, what is this? Because like all I was hearing was like, this is negative, this is da 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 da. And I think like a lot of my friends right now are like in the LGBTQ plus like community and everything, and like it's not a bad thing. Like God can still, like Jesus still loves you even if you are in the community. I don't know, at least that's what I've learned. My opinion could be different from others, but I think it's okay to like learn new things and do new things, and like just because you have certain friends in middle school doesn't mean you're going to be friends with those same people in high school, and that's okay, because you are going to go through all these new things when you're going from middle school to high school, and you may not like stay with the same group of friends, and that just means that God put those people in your life for a certain reason, and now you're transitioning to new people that God has put you. Excuse me, there's so much saliva in my mouth. God has like put those new people in your life for a reason. So
yeah, the LGBTQ plus thing is a whole podcast to itself. We'll have to talk about that another time. But like, you're right, and I saw something online just today. Actually, it was like, "Blessed are the trendy, for they will never know true identity." And I think that's something you're kind of talking about. Is like, if you continue to try to like just go with the flow of like what everybody else is doing, you will never find your own identity. So I think that's really important that you kind of figure out like what's cool for you and not necessarily what's cool for everybody else. Like that doesn't really matter. And I think your generation is doing a really good job of like figuring that out. You know, it's like, hey, I am gonna be kind of who I am.
Because as Christians, we're not gonna look like the world, and we're not gonna look like the next Christian.
Yeah,
like we're all made in the image of God, but that looks different for everyone.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about this just recently. Like 1 Corinthians paints this picture of like, you know, be you, and whatever crowd you end up in, be good with that crowd up until the point of like you have to draw lines in the sand of like, I'm not going. I'll be cool with you as long as it doesn't force me to step into sin. And then at that point, you're like, I got to draw that line and pull back. You're absolutely correct in like God loves everyone equally, regardless of like who they are or what they look like and all that kind of stuff. God's more concerned with our holiness than our happiness, but he does want you to find your own self. He does want you to find your identity. So you're preparing for the next stage of life too. What does that look like for you? Where are you going after high school?
I'm going to college. I'm going to Auburn.
Auburn.
Yeah, War Eagle.
To do?
I'm going to major in criminal justice and forensics.
Okay. How are you sort of preparing yourself for that college life?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how I'm preparing. I don't know. I'm just like
just winging it, man.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, I have good study habits. I've been kind of throughout high school, 9th and 10th grade. I did not have good study habits. But now I have like study habits that I have, and I feel like are gonna prep me for like college and everything. And I have like hobbies, so because what I'm going into is not necessarily like happiness all the time, but like I have hobbies that I have and everything.
Oh, you'll love college. But let me ask you this, because all right, so here's another. We were talking statistics earlier. Here's another statistic. Most students your age, once they go to this next year of life that you're about to go to, fall away from faith, fall away from the church. How do you sort of plan to deal with that, like your faith in this next stage of life?
Well, I know Auburn has a lot of like, they have a Auburn like church that I follow on Instagram already. I know they have a bunch of like stuff like that. And I have a scholarship for band and choir, so
yeah.
They have like gospel choirs there for like Auburn and everything, and I know the director, so I feel like it'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, you won't be alone. Tons of Cross Point students down in Auburn.
What are we doing wrong, Joseph?
I don't know. Well, you can't outparent that.
We just pray for them.
Yeah, we just pray for our Auburn friends. Where our one or two will go to Alabama, the right school. A whole ton of them will go to
elite.
Elite.
But you mentioned, God puts people in your life, which God does put people in your life, and you'll run into. You think you've seen different types now, like you'll.
What do we call that, Caleb? When God puts someone in your life? Do you remember what we learned a couple of weeks ago?
The word you're about to pull out here.
A divine encounter.
Appointment.
Appointment.
A divine appointment.
An encounter appointment thingy.
Like the birthday stripper in the bar.
The birthday stripper, yes.
What?
You remember this, Caroline, I'm sure. You remember
Go
this
back
episode.
to episode 5, something like that.
But like how do you ground yourself in your faith and your belief when you're going at, and you can't always prepare for what you're going to encounter, but are you making any preparations like to get yourself ready for facing different things from the world?
Well, I have Christian friends who are going to Auburn, so I'll keep in contact with them. I don't know. I'm just kind of winging it. I don't know. I haven't really given much thought to it.
You're talking a lot about how you surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
And that's key.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely, when I have if I meet new people, I definitely get a vibe or a sense from them. And not to sound creepy or anything, but I analyze them. And so if I don't get the vibe, then I just kind of okay, gotta go. Okay. So
yeah,
I don't know. That probably doesn't make sense.
I think that's biblical. Like your spirit recognizes another believer.
Yeah.
Is that not? Did I make that up?
Well,
I might have.
You're not wrong.
But you're not right.
I think, well, I mean, you can definitely, the spirit will discern whether something is an unhealthy or a bad situation for you.
That's what I said, right?
That's what you said. You spun it in a positive, the spirit will recognize someone good for you and draw you that way. I'm saying, well, the spirit will absolutely convict you when something is not right, and there'll be a back door for you. We talked a little bit about that one week too, but man, this has been awesome, Caroline.
Yeah.
Thank you for pouring all of your knowledge and insight and wisdom into us.
You're welcome.
Today.
Anytime.
It's been super fun. Caleb, any last words for you?
None.
Over at Megadesk?
Nope. Megadesk is doing well. Those who are keeping tabs on it.
All right. Last words, final thoughts?
I don't think
final
so.
Thoughts? Caroline, you have any last words for us? We're going to sign off in a second.
A reminder, it's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay, but you don't have to stay that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was
saying.
Good. Okay.
It rhymes. So
There you go.
if it rhymes, it's got to be true.
Oh, that's not the word you want to leave people with.
Oh, no. All right. So thank you for listening. Thank you for checking Caroline out today, figuring it out. Listen, like, and share. And we'll hopefully be back next week with episode 11. We'll start a whole new decade of episodes. So it's a good day.
Yeah. Thank you, Caroline.
Thanks, Caroline.
Yep.
And see you next time.